Proud supporters of Africa this week. Engine, with us, you are number one.
Wale Famurewa spoke to Ade Bajomo, Executive Director, Market Operations and IT at the NEC as part of the NEC's 50th anniversary coverage and asked him about its strategy for the Nigerian market going forward.
We believe strongly in the potential of the Nigerian market, the Nigerian stock exchange and the Nigerian economy. In the last 4 weeks, we've actually spent a lot of time walking through strategy, and we presented our vision for the future to our council. And that vision probably has 3 key anchors to it. Number one is that clearly we have to be very strong on integrity and transparency. And we're going to have an executive director that is going to look after that whole range in terms of rules, regulation, and actually beef that whole area. And we've made that an executive director level just to indicate a clear profile of that in our strategy. Then number 2 is in terms of how we develop our business. Today we have nearly 5 million investors who are registered with shares on the stock exchange, and we would like to expand that. We're a large country. We believe the potential is very, very huge, and we're setting up a business development area, again headed by another executive director, and that will look after listings, which has sales and retention. Then we're going to introduce a whole set of new products in the market. As you know, today largely again we are equities based, but we would like to introduce securities lending. We would like to introduce short selling. We would like to deepen the market, bring in market makers, introduce bonds, re-energize bonds trading in the retail side as well, really.
And there's also a plan to introduce derivatives, am I right?
Correct, yeah, and there's derivatives as well. So quite a very focused, strategy on developing the market. Yeah, and of course we have 13 branches around the country. So we're going to also refocus on those branches who are actually very, very good and deep in actually reaching out to the wider area of Nigerian coverage. But all of these cannot happen without a very strong operations and technology outfit. So in light of that, we're revitalizing the entire technology of the exchange. We're going to invest in a new trading platform. We think that is extremely critical in terms of giving us the capability to handle not just the volumes, but to handle the new style of trading, low latency trading, which requires very high speed technology on an end-to-end basis. And we want to also capture the wider market. So the transformation does just not start at the core. The core is important, but we want to look at the client and go all the way down to the settlement side and actually improve on the straight-through processing side of things. So a lot of you'll see over the coming years a lot of investment into technology to actually beef up the capability of the exchange.
The drive to innovate and stay ahead of the competition has seen a definite shift away from brand-centric strategies towards more customer-focused relationship management. Competing in this new social ecosystem is not going to be easy. We spoke to Don Pepper, founder of the global Peppers and Rogers Group, considered by many to be the world's leading authority and thought leader of customer-focused strategies.
There's been a radical increase in the amount of interconnectedness that we all have, whether you talk about social media or just email and mobile phones. There's a Moore's law that drives technology. We know that computers get about 1,000 times more powerful every 20 years. That's known as Moore's law, and it's continuing. There's a corollary to that, that every 20 years you communicate with others about 1,000 times as much. And if you think of your life 20 years ago, before mobile phones, before email, before Facebook and status updates and texting and Twittering, you communicate about 1,000 times more today than you did then.
I don't know how I survived.
I know, and 20 years from now, your children will communicate 1,000 times as much. And so that's dramatically changing the landscape of business competition.
Now you say that that has changed the relationship, and let me absolutely get this right. You say that we have seen a shift from the brand to the consumer. Is this as
Absolutely.
a result of this new ecosystem?
Well, the new ecosystem I just described is the sort of the social media landscape that people are talking about.
Yeah.
But the landscape has been shifting for ever since the computer was really introduced into business. The computer allows a business to keep complete records of all its customers individually,
Yeah.
to interact with those customers individually, and also to customize products and services. So instead of me making a single product and trying to find as many customers as I can who want that product, I know you tell me what you want, and I make it for you that way. And
Right.
increasingly, businesses are shifting to this kind of customer-centric model.
Do you subscribe to this thought? I was listening the other day, and there were two guys who were discussing the impact that the PC, the computer has had on the world, and comparing it to the impact that was brought in by industrialization. When you look back, have you had time to think about that?
Oh yeah, I think about it all the time.
Has the impact been the same as the Industrial Revolution,
More.
do you think?
It's been more. It's been more. Because the computer has brought us together. I think specifically the social media revolution, which is only just now starting, is going to change the quality of your existence as the human race. It's going to accelerate innovation even further. It's going to increase the role of trust and trustworthiness among people. It's going to dramatically flatten the divergent, conflicting aspects of culture that exist today. It's going to revolutionize human existence.
What brings you here?
Well, we have a consulting company, Peppers & Rogers Group, and we have an office here in South Africa headed by Ivo Sargis. And on any given day, we have between 10 and 20 consultants on the ground in Africa, in South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, Tanzania. This is a fantastic continent. It's growing so rapidly. And you know, when the Africans embrace these new technologies, they're not gonna have to evolve with them slowly and in fits and starts like they've done in North America.
We don't need to reinvent the wheel.
It's going to be a leapfrog. It's going to be an explosion. You're going to see this. You won't even see it one day, and the next day it'll be everywhere.
The problem is some parts of the world don't seem to be seeing it. I was reading the other day a story that was written in Canada for their local newspapers, and there was a guy who commented on the story, comes from some place called Grand Prairie, and he says, I can't believe Walmart is going to Africa. I couldn't even believe that Africa has got more than 290 stores.
I'm not surprised. We have clients here in several industries.
But clearly what you're finding on the ground is way different to the view of this guy who's sitting somewhere in Grand Prairie, whatever that is.
Grand Prairie, you know, the problem with Americans is they don't think the world exists outside their borders. You know, and I'm an American, and I can talk, so I can talk about that Americans that way.
Sure.
We're very, very egocentric in terms of thinking the world revolves around America, but that's not true anymore. The world is really global. The internet has no boundaries.
Walmart is saying exactly the same. So tell us what you're finding in these places that you're going into parts of Africa. What are you seeing on the ground?
Well, what we're seeing is a resurgence of consumer demand. What we're seeing is that consumers are awakening throughout Africa. It's probably going to be a painful process and disruptive to businesses. Walmart is a classic example. It's a classic disruptive business model. It's going to be. It's not going to be good for Walmart's competitors, but it's going to be terrific for Walmart's consumers, for African consumers. They're going to have access to less expensive goods and services and so forth. And I think this is true in general across Africa. Now, what's interesting is Africa has a couple of problems. One is distribution. You have a widely dispersed geography. It's a little harder to distribute. But a lot of these products that are coming into, and the things that people demand now are information-based products, mobile phones and internet banking, social networking, those kinds of things. Those do not require trucks and lorries and, and warehouses.